The stream is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Woo!
Yeah, we are.
D&D.
And we have everybody tonight. It's a Christmas miracle or holiday miracle. One of those. It's a miracle.
Oh.
Um, Thankful as we all are to all have uh, our full house tonight. Let's discuss where we last saw the pocket protectors. Uh, Recall the pocket protectors fighting the undead hollow dragon, the fire-filled dragon armor over the city of Emersham, finally defeating it and reducing it to a pile of different armor pieces, now apparently inert, but warned that it has a tendency to come back. So, having seen that the pieces all fell into the water, you borrowed the town's crabaratus, or crab apparatus, depending on who you ask, which is a sort of mechanical crab submersible that allowed you to recover many of the pieces, but there were still three left, and you decided to come back for those the next day. In the meantime, you learned a little bit about some of the other things that you're going to need if you're going to try to make an opening, a door in the seal around Dinuther. And one of those things is a diamond with infinite facets that you have learned. At least the only one anybody has heard of is currently in the possession of an evil witch in the Feywild, a witch who has a connection to your patron, Lord Yorbear Relenth. But in the meantime, you, Zaleen and Zinhorn and Baldu, set out on the next day to recover the remaining pieces of the dragon armor, only to discover when you started looking for them that they were actually moving away as though being transported by someone or something. And so you set off in pursuit, but recognizing that while you were able to, you were managing to gain ground, it was not quickly, and you had a ways to go, and realized you were going to have to go pretty far from the docks to finally catch up with them. And you called in a request for air support, and so your friends in the flying castle have been moving out to sea to try to give you, to follow your position from above. And so that is where we are going to pick back up. I assume that the current plan is to continue to just try to follow these pieces and maintain communication with the folks in the castle to stay above. If you are doing anything other than that, let me know.
So far, we're just rolling with it.
Okay. Well, so one of the things that we're going to do once it comes time to do something other than just march along in one direction, but there is now, you will find in your available for your D&D Beyond pleasure, the crabaratus now has stats. So if you want to take a look at those in D&D Beyond, that is how you operate and control the crabaratus. Do you guys need that link again? If so, I
Um,
can put it in, but I put it in the Discord a little while back.
okay.
Oh.
Do we want to introduce ourselves?
Oh, that's maybe a good idea. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I'm the Dungeon Master, and I forgot to have everybody introduce themselves. Uh, our players tonight, John Merlin as Baldu, Jenny Melcher as Zaleen,
Hello, we're underwater.
Starla Hutchton as Carolina Swift,
Hello, friends.
Mark Kilfoyle as Nedry Shiny Rock,
I mean, who are we really?
and Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening.
So, now that we have introduced ourselves, you just so those of you who are up in the castle, what are you doing? Is there a plan? Right now, all you know is that the pieces seem to be moving. But what is? Tell me what plans you make in advance of actually catching up to and being in sight of whatever is happening with these pieces.
Um, are we able to navigate to where the crab apparatus is? To, like,
I think all that you've been able to do so far is receive instructions from the people in the Crabaratus about what direction they're going and where.
okay.
I guess I should get to a window or something.
I mean, Carolina, you're down in the like. So I what I'm assuming is that you have worked out a way to stay at least in their approximate position. But you're floating along. But I guess that's just the question is like, do you, right now you're just going to happen across them when you finally catch up. If you wanted to do any planning ahead of time, you should do so. Otherwise, we will just go ahead and assume that you have marched along the seafloor until you caught up, and then we'll get to that part. But if you wanted to do anything in advance, this is your chance.
Nothing occurs to
Nope.
me.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I'm going to cast aid at 3rd level on the 3 of us.
Okay.
So everyone gets another 10 hit points.
Are they're permanent for like the duration?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So as you are marching along, you have been tracking the position of these things. I think it takes you most of the hour to get closer, but you assume. I think your locate object doesn't actually tell you distance; it just tells you direction, right? Is that right?
Let me check. I think it does. Where the heck did
I've
that
been
even
assuming that
go?
you have, if it's moving and if it's moving, what direction it's moving in. So you've been following, and it hasn't gone out of range, but you've been following along, and so I think what eventually you see is that as you march the Crabaratus along the seafloor, you see coming up ahead of you, and you don't have like a very long vision because it's kind of dark and down here, and there's silt and murk and everything. The water's not super clear, but you see looming up ahead of you appears to be a shipwreck, and on it you see there are a few sort of vaguely humanoid figures, but have some various aquatic sort of adaptations, like tentacles and fins and tendrils coming off of them. There's a few of those that look vaguely humanoid otherwise, and then there's one that looks like sort of a strange man-sized octopus thing with weird tentacles kind of coiled up around it, and what looks like a whole bunch of different it's wearing a big camping backpack that's just packed full of stuff that's on its back, and they have sort of they have holed up, kind of hunkered down at the back half of this shipwreck, and have turned to look as you approach, as though they were aware you were following and you have finally caught up, and they're awaiting your approach. And so I'm going to now take us to the battle map scene here. And so this is what you see as you approach, and I think as you get within about this range, you hear quietly coming in through the the armor of the Crabaratus. You hear a voice saying, "Why are you following us?"
I'm seeing just a box
Oh,
drawing.
yes, I'm sorry. I should put you on the map as well as. Here we go. There we go.
Ah,
Yeah, that's better, right? Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
Is there like a microphone or anything like that inside the crab apparatus? We don't
Nope.
know.
No, there does not
Okay.
appear to be.
Um, I don't know how we're supposed to communicate with these
Hmm.
creatures.
Right, like I don't even know how we heard them, to be honest. Like this far
Yeah.
underwater.
Did we hear
Uh,
them with our ears or like in our heads?
you you did not hear it psychically, but your impression is that the voice that you heard must have been spoken very loud. Water is actually pretty good transmitter of sound, but it would still be pretty loud, and you basically heard it like if you were in the crabaratus up in the air and someone outside of it was yelling at you. It's like it's muffled, but you heard it.
I'm gonna yell out. Can you hear me?
The octopus thing swims forward a little bit more and kind of uses some of its tentacles to kind of give a shoo shoo go away motion.
Can you hear me?
Some of they're whispering to each other. They're like turning to each other and speaking without you being able to hear.
Um, I'm gonna take out something metal and kind of tap on the shell of the inside shell of the crabaratus.
They all look over at that. In fact, actually, they speak to each other a little bit more, and then two of these figures start to swim a bit closer, and they're kind of approaching slowly, cautiously, but curiously.
Can you hear me?
They're not acting like they can. They're
I will manipulate the levers to put uh the the various size claws into a hopefully non-threatening position.
so what's a non-threatening position?
Down as opposed to like
Okay.
stick them up.
Okay. So they hesitate when the claws move, but then when they're pointed down and don't seem to be moving anymore, they approach a little bit more like closely, and they're definitely swimming all around the outside of it, and you lose sight of them basically. They seem to be swimming around inspecting this thing.
I'm gonna call out again. Can you hear me?
Tung
Louder this
tung
time.
tung tung. You hear a thump on the metal.
I go ting 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 back at them.
Tung 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 tung.
Ting 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 ting.
The one of them swims back around to the front window and sort of peers in, and sees all of you, and then just and
Oh,
they're doing.
Zinhorn's doing his non-threatening smile.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
they're
this
giving
might
you that we can't hear you gestures.
this might be a radical idea, but should I open the outside of the lock and see if they want to come in and maybe we can have a chat? I mean, we'd have them outnumbered 3-1.
There's not a
Um,
lot of room in here.
but I mean, they can stay in the lock. I mean, there's enough room for them to come in and have a conversation. So yeah, go ahead and do that.
I move lever number 10 in an upward way.
Okay, so they see that, and then you see them kind of gesturing over. And although the octopus thing stays behind, one of the humanoids that looks a bit different, like it's a little bit more human like in appearance. These other two are sort of, you know, on the slider between fish and person. They're pretty fishy, right? This other one is a bit more on the human side, so to speak. Like he's clearly got gills adaptations. He's very comfortable in the water, but he's got less obvious like fish features to him. And he swims over as well, and he hesitates just before the window, and he speaks. And when he does, you hear it once again in a resounding way. He says, "I will come inside if you promise that it will be a peaceful communication of terms."
I scream as loud as I can. We promise.
You know,
I just do thumbs up through the little windows.
all right.
Yes.
All right. So he goes in through the airlock, and you open the door so that he's connected inside there.
Mhm.
Well, I seal the top first,
Sure,
so
sure.
you know.
Yeah, so
The lake doesn't come
flooding
flooding.
the cabin. Yeah, so
Yes.
the airlock literally you cannot make it do that.
Okay.
It is
That's good to know.
designed so that like you can't do that on purpose. Which, you know, it's like in theory it seems like there could theoretically be a situation where you would want to do that, but it's designed so that you can't designed to be, you know, idiot proof in that way. But in any case, as soon as the door opens and he's in the air, you see him grasping his gills and going
All right, I'll flood the lock again.
No, actually, just as you're about to do that, he says, "No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry." It's just like couldn't resist. So,
We're so worried. Oh man, the last thing we want to do is hurt you, or have you come to harm in any way.
well, I'm certainly glad to hear that. Although it does raise the question of why are you following us?
Well, let's get to that. There's a little bit of a backstory. Are you okay if I cover the whole thing?
I wouldn't say I've got nothing but time because I am on the clock, so to speak. But I am certainly interested in your tale.
Okay. So, there is this magical undead dragon that looks like it's just armor, and it was in the process of trying to level a town, the city, Emersham, right here, just off the shore.
I'm aware.
Yes. Um, and we fought it. And we managed to kill it. I'm going to say kill it in quotes because it's not quite dead. Because it's undead. And it fell into the water. And we've been salvaging it because our understanding is that it has the ability to come back from the dead. And this thing just kills on a massive scale. So we're trying to get all of the pieces
Wait,
up.
let me stop you right there. You have the rest of the pieces?
Yes.
Oh, this is great news. Just a second. And he goes is like, pardon me, can you like, there's not really room. I want to get to the window.
Okay. We like squish up against the
Yeah,
side.
it's really awkward, like shoving. There's not room for this, but he's making it happen. But he like puts his face up against the window, and when he does this, he's so loud. It is not like mechanically deafening, but it is actively painful. When he's just saying, "Hey, boss, they've got the rest of the pieces." And then the octopus thing holds out a tentacle that does a complicated little gesture that ends up looking like a thumbs up. I am empowered by my employer to make an offer to you for the rest of this set. We would very much like a completed set of dragon armor, please. Thank you.
We can't do that. We actually need the pieces that you've already collected.
Well, I mean, after all, we found the pieces fair and square on the ocean floor. But we are prepared to make a generous offer to you for the remainder of the set, as we have many collected items, and we're not just talking about pretty seashells. Oh no, we have powerful magical artifacts.
I'm sure you do, but as my companion here explained, we need those pieces that you've collected. And I mean, if we have to pay you for them, we can.
Yeah, because the thing is, the dragon comes back to life and starts killing. We're trying to get the kill to destroy the magic that reanimates it, so that it doesn't kill anyone. Because if you got all the pieces down here, and it will come back to life, and it will start killing you, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Is we don't want it to kill anyone.
Well, look, I understand where you're coming from, but you don't know my boss. Like, he's a collector of these sorts of things, and honestly, the idea that you have the rest of the pieces, but that what you want to do is make them not magic anymore, like it's the worst. No, what we need is for you to just give us the rest of the pieces you have, and don't worry about, like, we will make sure you never hear from it again. I promise.
What's your
Yeah.
boss's name?
Uh, well, I mean, is this something? Are we entering into like negotiations here, or you
Yeah,
just?
I mean, let's get. I mean, I assume you came in because you're the best at negotiations.
Well, I
Um,
have the loudest voice.
And what mighty fine loud voice you got too.
Comes in handy sometimes. But so I tend to be, uh, they sometimes call me the voice of the Kraken. But yeah, so basically, my boss is he likes it. He has a lot of different names, but like he likes to be called the collector. He likes to be called the curator. All of those great things. He is all about finding powerful magical stuff that gets lost on the ocean floor and assembling it for his own private collection. And he is quite good at these things and well adept at preserving otherwise dangerous things. And so this completed set would be a priceless jewel in his collection. He would love it. He can make you a generous offer, I assure you.
okay.
I'm
I
sorry. The answer is no.
Hmm.
I might just need a sidebar
Yeah.
quickly with my.
Well, what you want me to just like what stand over here?
I,
Uh, well,
Well,
there's not.
if I mean, the goal here is to make sure that it doesn't kill anyone, right, Saline?
how do we have that guarantee just because he says he's going to do that? We don't know that for sure.
And,
I mean, do
I
you
mean,
know
it
how you're
seems
going to stop it from killing everyone? Do you even know how you were going to do that?
Not yet.
no.
Well, so we're
Well,
offering you a solution. A solution that could be profitable for you.
Well, there
Why
is.
don't might I suggest that you go back to your boss and let him know that we've entered into negotiations on good faith terms. That will give us a chance to have a chat amongst ourselves and figure some things out. And we'll stay here. We'll, not power down or anything. We got to keep air going, but we won't go anywhere. I give you my word. Um, and yeah, then that'll give us, like you say, a chance to have a chat, and you can let your boss give him an idea of what's going on and where we're at.
All right. Well, we can wait around for a chance at the complete set for sure. But I just have to let you know. I mean, if you're really determined, we found those parts, the parts that we have, fair and square. I mean, he's not just going to give them up. So
No, I understand that, and I
yeah.
don't think anybody's suggesting that he hands him over for free. Um, but we just need to make sure that we're all on the same page, as it were.
Understood. So
And
he
I'll
goes back into the lock then.
yeah, and I'll flush him out, as it were.
Yeah. So as he's swimming back over, you hear kind of receding. He's like, "Oh, boss, they're setting up to drive a hard bargain, but I think we can make it a deal."
Does
So
it does it seem a little strange, right, that we were just talking about a magical fey place where things that are lost sort of all drift there, and then we come across this guy who's the collector curator of things that end up lost in the sea. Like, is that just coincidence, or
it,
should
it doesn't seem very coincidental. Um, and now here's my thought: maybe they've got a diamond of infinite facets.
I doubt it, but I mean, you could ask him.
That's what I was thinking. Is like we need that. What's the other thing that we need? We need a stable place to be under the ocean. Maybe they can provide that for us if and when we get um, the thing. I mean, like we are at a severe disadvantage if we have to fight these guys. We don't have a plan for at the moment for demagicalizing the armor, uh, undeadifying. Um, these guys say that they can take care of it. Um, why don't we call upstairs and see what the rest of the crew thinks of this opportunity?
I'm already on the sending stone. Like, Lord Gilbert, you gathered the Nedry and Carolina and get their thoughts on something for me.
That's a copy, Zaleen. I think we got everybody here on the horn for you.
All right, great. So we got this weird squid octopus guy down here who wants to buy all of the dragon armor pieces. What are your thoughts on that, everyone?
What do they want it for?
He's a collector.
As far as we can tell, it's not Percival.
I wonder if you've seen these sorts of things before.
I mean, you could come down here and ask him, but I don't know how you're going to get down.
I don't suppose he could come to the surface.
We could ask him.
Soon you might be able to hover there for a while.
I think the depth here, incidentally, at this shipwreck is probably about 65 feet.
They're claiming that he can make it not a problem.
Well, that sounds
Like-
like a great deal.
Keep it safe.
Because right now it's a huge problem.
Not
Well,
really.
who-
We shrunk the head down.
Still a problem.
Who is this person? Maybe they can help in other ways too.
That's what Zinhorn thinks.
we didn't get a proper name as such? All we got is he likes to be called, what did he say? Collector, and something else that basically means collector, but in slightly fancier way.
Curator.
Curator, that's the one. Thank you. He likes to be called curator and collector, and probably other words that begin with C. Yeah, we haven't got a name. We've seen him probably. Now that I come to think of it, probably.
Yeah,
we
an
haven't actually
octopus-looking guy.
Yeah, probably.
Hmm.
But we haven't spoken to him directly. We've spoken to his right tentacle octopod.
Wait, one part of him spoke, but the rest didn't?
No, he has minions.
Yeah, like a right hand man, but when you don't have hands, you've got tentacles, and when it's not a man, it's an octopoidal thing.
Oh.
They're fish people.
You know what this collector sounds like? He sounds like an academic. I'd like to meet them.
Well, we'll see what we can do.
I might have something I can do.
You know, Nedry, that might involve going back in the Crabberatus again, and I know how much you enjoyed that.
I might have something else
mean,
I can do.
I could also like move and shape the water to open up a little walkway
Hmm,
so that you could stay on dry land.
that would be best.
Let me
I have been
see.
researching a spell, but it's not ready yet. Wait, it might be. What level is that? Oh, I think I can do that. I have a way to go down.
Okay.
I'm not going back in that thing again either. I just have to look the spell up to make sure I understand what I think it is.
If I did control water, it would only last for like 10 minutes anyway. So if you have another alternative way.
Just got to verify. Oh, it only lasts for a minute. Shit.
Well, I mean, maybe they can come to the surface. They did come close to shore to pick up the other pieces. I mean, how else are they going to get the rest of the pieces?
I mean, if Miss Sonia's over and above, like, couldn't we just
Drop
throw
them
said
in the
pieces
water.
overboard? Right. Not ideal, I don't imagine, but
They might lose the head though, because the head is tiny.
And they probably would want us to restore the head to the right size.
Would they? How do they know that it wasn't that size? They don't know.
The collector might know. They seem to be pretty knowledgeable about things. Again, I think they're an academic.
Or he
I
could
should-
be friends with someone else that
Yeah,
is
I was kind of
evil.
worried that it was Percival Cankers.
I wasn't. I was kind of worried that maybe he was one of Tanglefoot's friends.
Well, they do have some of the corruption on them, so if that's the case, I should be able to detect it. Hasn't worked as well as I'd hoped, though. There's a lot of people that aren't corrupted that are just annoying.
All right, so how much should we tell him we want, or what do we want?
A
See what their
diamond of
offer is
infinite
first.
Facets.
Okay.
Let's start there.
How about
Yes.
we just see what they offer first before we start throwing out things like diamonds of infinite facets? See what he says. Like,
Okay. I mean, this is what I want.
okay, then you do what you want and see what happens. Instead of messing around, just go and tell him what you want and see what happens.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Let's let him back in.
Okay. So, how do you signal?
well, they seem to notice when we open the hatch the first time round, so
Yeah.
I'll make sure it's open, and maybe like flash the lights
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times.
All right. So, two of these swim back over, and this guy comes back in, and cycles through the airlock as before, and he just says, this is a little inconvenient, but I'm actually able to cast water breathing on you all if that would make things simpler.
That would make things a lot simpler.
Shall I go ahead and do that?
How far down are we?
Like
65.
65 feet is what I said.
Okay. All right. Yeah, go ahead. And then I'll come out. We'll come outside, I guess. Well, one of us has to stay in here.
I'll
But
stay
let the others
here.
back in.
You go ahead.
Okay. Do you know how to work the
Yeah,
lever?
I took the
Okay.
class. You weren't there.
I wasn't there. That's why I'm asking. I
Yeah,
want to make sure you can let us back in.
I took the class. I know.
Are you guys ready for this? You gave us the signal and all. It seems like you're
Yeah,
so
we're sort of ready for it. It's look, the whole thing, like, like I stretch my wings out a little bit. It's like underwater, not my thing.
Well, look, I can understand that's but you are in good hands. We do this sort of thing all the time. So,
Okay.
if you're ready, shall I cast it on everybody here? It will last
Uh,
24 hours.
that was the other thing I wanted to know. Yes, please.
All right, so he begins to cast a spell, and assuming everybody is a willing creature for this
Mm-hmm.
purpose, you find that you have sort of a weird magical film seems to sort of drape itself all around you, and then seems to disappear, but you don't necessarily feel different. And he says, "Now, obviously, there's usually a moment of adjustment that is required when you first try to start breathing the water. So just don't panic. It'll work. I promise. It's just, you air breathers aren't, used to it. So it just takes a second."
All right. Why don't you head out through the airlock,
Mhm.
and one of us will be up next.
All right. Yep. He goes out.
Well, I guess the good news is that we'll get to test this water breathing business out in the lock before
Yeah.
we
Mm-hmm.
get like out there proper.
So if you hear me tapping with the hilt of my dagger, it means let me back in.
Right, you are.
Okay.
Okay. Thus, yeah, water not my thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm. So as the water sort of floods up through the airlock, you I think do have just this immediate impulse, like just the animal part of your brain is trying to make you hold your breath because it
Mm-hmm.
thinks this is not okay. But do you force yourself to try to breathe it in?
I try and do calm meditative breathing,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that I'm used to.
Okay. I think that there is still a moment where it briefly feels like, oh God, I'm inhaling water, and there's just a flash of panic. But then you realize, wait, no, actually, what it feels like is cold. It feels like breathing in cold air. But and it's a little disorienting because your body doesn't feel as that cold in the water, but the air feels so much colder than you're used to it being comparatively, and so it's a little disorienting at first, but it seems to be working otherwise.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna crawl, pop up out of the crabaratus and
Mhm.
stretch my wings, cause man, it's cramped in there.
Just occurred to
Uh,
me that I need to give you control over the tokens.
am I able to fly underwater?
Well, I mean, you are swimming, but the specifically you do not have a swim speed, which means you move at half speed, your normal speed.
Okay.
But I mean, you can swim up and down and in 3 dimensions and all that.
Right. But I mean, like,
I
I
mean,
come around to the front of the crabaratus
hmm
and wave into the window and give Baidu
hmm
a thumbs up.
all right.
All right. Well, I guess that makes it my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he did cast it on all of us, not just him. That'd
That would be
be
a mean
cruel
trick, right?
trick.
To make it work on 2 people, and then it just didn't on the
I'd give
third
him
one.
a like blessing of the dark mistress before he leaves, just in case.
Okay.
Uh, I take it gracefully and step into the lock.
Yeah. It so as with Zinhorn, I think it's a little disorienting. It feels strange, but you find yourself able to breathe, uh, and there's no issue. The magic seems to be working.
All right. Well, I guess I'll test this whole swimming thing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, try and enjoy myself a little bit and like swim in circles and do a loop to loop and like see if I can get my wings to actually propel me through the water. And that doesn't work very well.
Yeah, some of the so two of these fish the fish folks are kind of looking at you and like laughing a little bit, but it doesn't seem like mean spirited. It's just seems like, oh hey, look at the new guy, that sort of thing.
You guys having fun?
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
And
all right, so
all right.
do we think we might be able to make a deal here?
I think so. I mean, the possibility exists. Should we go talk with your boss, or are you going to handle all that?
Well, he likes to maintain a distant air of mystery and all. If you really insist, we could, but that's just generally not how he likes to operate.
We do like to be. I mean, like this is an evil set of armor. We really don't want to give it to anyone who's evil.
I understand that. That makes sense. How about we discuss what sorts of terms might be acceptable, and if we can come to something that sounds agreeable on that regard, I'm sure that he would be willing to grant you a conversation.
Okay, that seems reasonable. Um, we're looking for this thing, and it's the kind of thing that you only find um, in places where things get lost, like this place where you guys are. So,
Mhm.
like, we're guessing, like you might have heard of one, you might have one, and, you know, it's called a diamond of infinite facets.
There's a moment where they seem really surprised. Uh, like they are unable to hide that you have surprised them with that particular request. And um, they kind of, the other two look back at him, but the guy who's been talking to you keeps his cool a little bit with just like a glance over his shoulder back at his boss, and then he just says, "Well, that's an awfully steep ask. I'm not sure that we're prepared to offer a one of a kind item like that to you at this time. However, we could certainly introduce you to the owner of such an object."
Um, does this owner have a name or a title that they go by?
Ah, yes. Well, the diamond of infinite facets that we're aware of is in the possession of the Lady Despair in the Feywild.
Yeah, we know about her. Um, we know she's got one, but we're kind of hoping not to actually have to deal with anyone named the Lady of Despair. You know what I mean?
Well, it's there's no of. It's just the Lady Despair. It's
The
clear.
oh, okay,
But
the Lady Despair.
that's correct.
All right,
But
all right.
so here's the thing. I understand why you would want such a thing, but this is a little bit like if I were to come up to you and say, "How much is this ordinary magic short sword?" And you said it is a bajillion dollars or gold pieces. So we're very interested, but that's a very difficult dear item. We could, like I said, we could introduce you to the owner, but I'm not sure she would want to part with it.
Probably
What
not.
now?
Yeah.
Now, what we do have to offer, these are things that we could give you today, right now.
Okay.
We have a spell bottle, and you can. Those of you, I imagine, some of your party are spellcasters. You can cast a spell into this bottle, and then once it's in the bottle, anyone who's holding the bottle can then cast the spell, even if it's someone who normally couldn't cast a spell at all.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's great. We've also got this. It's a piece of armor. Hang on, I'm having to pull up my own notes here. Uh, now, this is a legendary piece of armor that's it reputed to have. If it likes the owner enough, it can even grow more powerful. But even just as it is right now, it's a wide belt of leather, but and it's got clasps of dragon ivory. And what you can do is it gives you protection against lightning and thunder damage, and it makes you strong.
Ooh, that is very cool.
And you can also like become like a storm avatar for a little bit.
Oh, That's very nice.
Oh, it's great. It's very nice. Trust me on this. But then we've also got a special tablet. Um, where is it? Hang on. I did not organize my notes as effectively here as I meant to. Let's see. Okay, that's what it is. Now this is a very, very special, powerful magical item. It's a stone tablet made of it's a very deep green stone, and what you can do is, if you're attuned to it, you can cast some very powerful spells. One is called it allows you to send out offensive magical abilities through your eyes, and then you can even cast a spell known as Gate, where you can open portals to the Feywild and other planes. And sometimes you can actually, if you know a person, you can bring them to you.
That's very cool.
Oh yes, indeed.
Those
it
are all
varies.
very cool
So
things.
can we offer one of these special magical items in exchange for the dragon armor, of course?
I think we might be able to reach a deal. Let me go back inside and talk with my coworkers, and I'll be out in a few minutes.
Splendid. We'll be here. We're hoping we can come to a deal today. And you know what? Absolutely. If we can come to some kind of arrangement on one of these items, then I'm sure we could also just arrange an introduction to you, for you to the Lady Despair, if you wanted to, for on the house.
Okay. All right.
How many pieces of armor do we have?
You have all but 3. You have the head, the torso, 3 limbs, and 1 wing. What you're missing is 1 leg, 1 wing, and the tail.
Well, I mean, me personally, I mean, I'm not there, but my suggestion would be 1 magical item per piece of dragon armor.
Or at least for like the big parts, like the
The torso.
the head and the torso.
Yeah, so we'll just go ahead
Yeah.
and take all of that.
So the leather belt that makes you really strong. I was thinking that would be really good for Nedry. So that when we try and throw Tanglefoot in the bag, he would be really super strong and have a lot greater chance of getting Tanglefoot or somebody else in the bag. So if we were only able to get 1 item, or that would be it. But it'd also be kind of cool to just give him the head in the small size, and then
It's just the $100 for my horse, but the tack and saddle are extra.
yeah, they're $1,000.
Yeah. Um. I wonder what their connection is with Lady Despair.
Yeah, that's just it's too much coincidence.
You think?
Yeah, almost
They-
like yeah,
They
like
could be
she,
friendly competitors.
or they could be just finding stuff and selling it to her. Or this guy could be a lieutenant of hers, or it could be Percival Cankers, who's even more mutated now.
I doubt
Uh,
it's Percival
I
Cankers.
I doubt it's Percival Cankers, but he did have a couple of tentacles the last time we saw him, so it's just more tentacles. Well, it's a lot more than just more tentacles. Anyway, I'm not the greatest negotiator in the world, but I mean, at the very least, this is worth the belt, and the spell bottle would be cool.
Seriously though, like all of them.
All of them, yeah.
This dragon is a one of a kind. Though, like they had the only way they could stop it was to trap it. So
Right.
these don't like just you can't just like find these.
Right. And so one magic item for one piece of armor. If they go with all four, we'll give them the rest.
Can I have Baldu and Zinhorn make intelligence checks?
Just straight int.
Yep. This is not a combat thing. It's just
13.
Oh, I roll did not come through, but it was an 11.
okay. I think a 13 is enough that the one little detail that you might have overlooked at first is that the third item that they mentioned was this magical stone tablet made of a deep green stone.
It's midnight stone.
Seems
They have a
quite
midnight stone,
possible. Anyway,
and it what does it do again?
so mechanically, what it does is if you're attuned to it, you can cast Eye Bite or Gate once per day.
Okay.
Gate is like a very powerful spell.
Okay. So
Even
What do you-
Eyebite is like 6th level, I think.
Hmm.
wow.
I mean, we could use something like that to get to the Feywild. You said that they want to introduce us to Lady Despair. I do not think that's a good idea
I agree.
because Lord Yobert did say that we need to go with intention and like pretty much under our own control, no influencing factors. And that right there feels like an influencing factor. So,
Okay. So yeah, that might be why they're so eager to offer us a free introduction to the Lady Despair.
mhm.
So there's a little bit of deception that you normally get with uh, horse trading, seahorse trading. Um, you know. Anyway, I really wish that um, Lynn were here. But she's way better at negotiations and stuff like this. Um, all right, let's go back out and see how it goes.
All right, but just before we step back into that lock, so I want to be sure on this before we go speak to them. We're going to go for one magical item per piece of our armor that we have.
Yeah,
Would you mind so much if I did the talking?
I I would not mind
All right,
because I like I said, I'm not the greatest at negotiations.
all right, let's give it a go.
All right.
All right. You come back out?
Yep.
So, do we have a deal?
Well, we think we can come to a deal. We have more than one piece of the armor, and you have more than one magical item that you're willing to part with. Do you see where I might be heading with this?
Well, I mean, what the offer is on the table is your choice of the selection.
Right, but you. Well, I guess it all depends on how badly your boss wants it. If he's only offering us one piece for one magical item for, the four pieces we've got, then he obviously don't want it that bad.
You actually have 6 pieces, but go ahead and make a persuasion check.
I thought you'd never ask.
God forbid you have to role play something a bit first.
That's a 29.
Whoa! Whoa! Okay. Wow. Okay. I did not realize you were capable of that for persuasion. I had not looked at your stats. Okay, great. So I think you say that, and there's a moment where he's trying to hold up just a total poker face, and he's just like, okay, no, we actually absolutely want to make a deal here. So yeah, so what? All three of them for the set?
I do believe 4 magical items were mentioned.
No, they mentioned three. That is what
Oh,
they listed three. They said those were the three that they like presented as on offer.
all right. Well, for those pieces, those 3 pieces, I'd be willing, and I turn to um Zinhorn at this, as if looking to get the nod. For those 3 pieces, I'd be willing to. I think we'd be willing to part with the 4 pieces that I mentioned shortly ago.
So you do have 6 pieces.
Oh, I know.
Okay. So I see what's happening here. Make a deception check then on top of this. I
Alrighty.
mean, you've got the guy on the hook here, but he's not.
That is a nat 20 for a total of 26.
Okay, all right.
So it's like, all right, great. So we have the 3 magic items for your 4 pieces.
Yes, that's what I'm proposing.
Okay. All right. So yeah. We have the spell bottle, the storm girdle, and the stone tablet.
That sounds like a right proper deal. Now, where I'm from, we shake on things, but we're in your part of the world now. So, do you shake on things, or do you drink on deals, or how do you do things?
Well, drinking is sometimes difficult underwater.
Well,
Uh,
I thought that might be the case, but you never know.
well, here's the point, though. It almost doesn't matter specifically, but it does need to be kind of ritually signified. So in this case, a shake would certainly be acceptable.
I extend a hand
All right.
and shake whatever limb is proffered.
As you do that, the octopus thing starts doing it this weird, like funky, like yeah dance back over at the shipwreck, like he's really happy, and so starts fishing into his little backpack, presumably to get stuff out.
Now, I do wish to be upfront with you and say that we do have these pieces. They're just not on the HMS Zoidberg, this wonderful piece of Crabaratus that is behind us. They are on our in our castle, which is, I believe, floating above our very location right now. So we will have them delivered to you shortly.
All right. I mean, we'll wait.
Alrighty. Now, we have a deal on that. For the remaining 2 pieces of armor that we have,
So the look on his face, just like totally goes pale, and suddenly the little dancing octopus in the back just freezes.
what would you like to offer for them?
Hmm. Just a moment. He's like taking, doing some calming. Well played.
I do appreciate somebody who recognizes game.
Yes, we do this a lot, and I will say that it is rare that we are taken in such a fashion. At the same time, that I can't say that I especially appreciate it.
Well, no, I understand where
uh,
you're coming from with
Yes,
that.
I can nonetheless admire the skill in question. However, what I guess I must insist upon before we even begin talking about any additional 2 pieces is a promise that once those 2 pieces are negotiated for, that does represent the complete set and not merely the ones you have, but the complete set.
From my understanding, the entire collection of this armor, and I say this in all truthfulness, with no hint of hiding nothing, or deception, or falsehood of any kind, the my understanding is that the complete collection of this armor is held between our persons and your persons. Now, I will not be responsible if it turns out that, a toenail clipping fell off this dragon somewhere 500 miles back. That's
I
not on me.
I think and he does for a moment, he freezes like he's listening to something in his head, and he says, I think we need to see all the pieces before we can continue any sort of deal.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, we do not have them in HMS Zoidberg, so I will have to make arrangements for them to be for the four that we've agreed upon to be delivered down here, and then are you seem quite comfortable being out of water. You're not like a fish out of water or anything when you're out of water.
Well, I can make do, but it's not my preferred.
Right. So we shall make arrangements for you to come to where we have the remaining pieces held.
Why can they not be brought here? I mean, if we're going to make a deal, we need to see the pieces.
I turn to Zinhorn. Thoughts?
My biggest worry there is like they're in the flying castle.
Mhm.
We need to land the castle somewhere. It does. We can't land it on water. So, I mean, we can bring you to the castle and get you on the castle, and you can look at it there. But otherwise, we would have to set the castle down somewhere and then
Why couldn't you
move them.
simply lower the pieces into the water?
I don't know that we have like a crane or anything like that.
Might I
Um,
suggest that we land the castle on the shore and you meet us on the shoreline?
Mm.
It's like a meeting of worlds. Us from above the world, above the water, and you from the water, and then
We're
like the
already
shoreline.
here. Why
I
can't you?
understand.
So I think on this matter, I think we've perhaps earned the right to be a little bit persistent on the basis that you have already not only agreed to take all three of our other magical items, but now you've pulled an additional fast one on us, and well played you. But on that basis, I think that we perhaps are due a little consideration.
I understand completely, and I am trying to work with you. I am new to this group of people myself, and so I don't know what apparatus is aboard, the castle. If my good friend here says that there's no mechanism to lower him down, then I don't really. I
Now,
mean, I guess we
let
could
me.
throw him overboard.
That's what I was just going to say. You see, in our line of work, we are familiar with the absence of difficulty in getting items from above the water into the water. It turns out that gravity does a lot of the work for you.
That's true,
um,
I suppose.
that is true. Um, I think we could definitely throw down the four items uh and then I don't know I don't, I don't know, maybe dangle the other two on a rope or something until we're completed with the negotiations.
From my perspective, that works.
Does that work for you?
So, I feel like where I'm suspicious now is that we have already been fooled once. And now it seems like you're being tricky.
I can understand that.
Can I force him into doing an insight check on me?
What, that you just mean it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think the issue here is that it's not even necessarily a matter of whether you believe it or not. Because the fact that you won't just bring the pieces here, which is what has been requested, is inherently the problem, right?
Gotcha.
You have not explained why that's not acceptable. And that is where the distrust is coming from.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
So I want you to understand that it's the concept of just like throwing these things overboard is a little unusual to us. It's not kind of what we do. So I guess we just need to wrap our heads around that bit. But let me go back.
Let me just begin also by saying that we have been negotiating with you in good faith for this entire period, and it is your side that has been engaging in deception so far.
Again, I understand and I sympathize. I do.
It's all right. It's just a matter of having begun a game of hardball, you must now play it.
Oh, I do, and I'm perfectly willing and more than happy to do so. I'm just trying to. I don't want to push them over and then they get dented in the fall, or one gets caught in a current and drifts off half mile downstream or whatever, and then the whole thing goes to pear shaped. So I'm trying to avoid that. And like I say, it's just a concept we're not used to. It'd be like if I asked you to walk over there. I mean, you ain't got feet. How are you going to walk? Like, it's just not a concept that we're used to. So it's just taking us a little moment to wrap our heads around it. And look, I'll go back to my friend in there. We'll get the message up, and we'll get everything pushed overboard if need be. But I just hope that nothing lands on the crabaratus, because that ain't our crab. We're borrowing it.
He kind of listens in his head again, and I think you can both make an insight check if you'd like.
Okay.
There's
11.
a 15.
Okay. Yeah, it seems clear to you that he is receiving telepathic instructions from Octopus Guy back at the shipwreck, if that wasn't clear in the meta already. But he looks and he says,
All right. Here's what's an acceptable term. If you go ahead and drop down the ones that we have made, we complete our first deal.
Uh-huh.
So we each have the respective goods in hand. And then if you lower the parts to the point that we can see them from the surface, close enough that we are able to ascertain that they are what you say, then we can discuss the terms. However, we will not present you with whatever your purchase price is until we have those pieces in hand.
I believe that is a very reasonable set of criteria.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we can make that happen.
all right.
All right.
So, do you go about preparing all of that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have to tell them to like roll the head through
Mm-hmm.
the doors of the tower. Like, I'm assuming I left the tower behind because the head, I didn't think we were going to use it down here. So,
Well,
mean,
yeah,
unless we're
I-
gonna-
Well, I don't know who has the tower. You guys decide these things, right?
yeah. I mean, I would have given it to Lynn because I trust her the most. But
Okay. That seems reasonable.
We know the process here.
Sure.
yeah,
I would like
So-
to speed this along if
Yeah,
possible.
I think we can hand wave the mechanics of it with the assumption that there's not anything unusual happening here. It's just a matter of getting the pieces. And so, which 4 pieces do you are you just dumping them over the side? How are you handling that?
I'm gonna swim up, and motion for them to like throw a piece over the side, and then grab it and swim down with it,
Okay.
and like deliver it to them.
All right. Well, at the very least, with the head and the torso, they are way too heavy for you to do that. They're going to sink like a stone.
I think
So
that
if you
those are
do
the
that-
2 pieces that we would hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can't the crab apparatus grab onto them near the
They're
surface?
used to this stuff. They can take care of it. I
These
would
Yeah.
just
are metal.
have-
As soon as they're in the
yeah.
water, it's just going to sink right down.
have somebody swim up and like signal, and we'll dump it on the other side of the castle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's easily done. I just wanted to make sure if you were doing anything other than that. So and that's what you're hanging onto the head and torso, but you're depositing the second wing and the 3 legs
Yep.
that you have.
Mhm.
Okay. So um, once those have been secured, first of all, the octopus guy, the curator, is extremely excitable about that. He's overjoyed as his little minions bring the stuff to him. And as you watch, he's clearly got some sort of a bag of holding type of deal set up with his backpack, because even with the big, um, the big wing pieces,
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't have the head or the torso yet. But you watch as he goes to lift it to like put it in his backpack, and it just like disappears into there. He's not any bigger than a person is, except he's just got like a person with a big backpack. But
Right.
this thing just disappears into it. And so once that has, once he has retrieved those pieces, he sends the voice over with your spell bottle, the storm girdle, in a dormant state, and the I didn't make the special item in D&D Beyond for it, but the black crystal tablet is the item.
Thought it was green.
It is. I'm saying that the default item in D&D Beyond is called the black crystal tablet.
Oh,
The
okay.
one you are getting is green.
Gotcha.
One thing that I'll note when you guys look at that item is that please avoid metagaming. There is an element to that you would not necessarily know. So in character.
Okay.
All right. So the once that has been established, I imagine it is not that difficult to go ahead and take the head and torso pieces. You decided to hold on to the pieces that are the most difficult to lower over the side of the castle wall by ropes, but but you manage, and sure enough, I think the the curator goes up, and I think that there's a lot of like disturbance of the water, like a helicopter hovering over the water, so it's a little hard to see them, and it like breaches the surface, is kind of peering at it with a tentacle up to shield its eyes, and establishes that it is satisfied that this is the complete set. Um, and so then the voice says,
All right, so what do you want for the remaining 2?
You're 100% positive you don't want to have these infinitely faceted diamond thingies?
Oh, believe me, we wish, but the only one we know of is held by someone who's not likely to give it up anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring. Um, During the arrangements to get everything lowered down,
mhm.
can we have communicated with those aboard?
Yeah, I think so. That would have taken unless you're like rushing through it. I think you can have a conversation about this stuff.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So was there anything?
Ask about a immovable platform or something enchanted. I believe it's the spell is immovable because before it was an immovable rod. So,
Mhm.
but we need something flat. So
Mhm.
something of that nature.
Oh, and ask how he plans to contain that. Because if he has a trick or a spell or an item that can do that, that'd be very useful for us.
Wait, sure.
Contain the armor thing.
So once we finish negotiating, I do have a question or 3 from um my colleagues about this armor in particular. But uh, to get back to the negotiations,
Mhm.
um, do you happen to have anything that is immovable?
Ah, well, an immovable rod is not necessarily like a common item, but it is certainly not unheard of. We definitely have an immovable rod we could trade to you.
Right. And what about you got any like magically star pendant, midnight stone star pendant type things?
Midnight stone is not a term I'm familiar with. Is it just is that just sort of gemstone? I mean, we've got lots of like amulets, but is this a specific one?
I,
What would
I've
you
been
want it to do?
I've been given this shopping list, and I go to show him a piece of paper, and then realize that all the ink is washed off because we're underwater. I don't know. It was written right about here, but it's gone now. So it said something about midnight stone star. I don't know if that's midnight. I don't know if it's star shaped. Um,
I mean, if you want a star-shaped amulet, we can find you one.
right. I think it's a specific one we're looking for, though. I mean, you got, yeah,
Well, I mean, we would need more to go on than that, I think.
right. You are. It was a long shot, but you have. How many movable rods do you have?
Well, I think we only have one that we could get to you right now.
What about if we gave you a couple of days? How many
Uh,
could you get to us then?
I mean, we could probably get you a second one at least. Why would you need more than that?
Why do you need a armored dragon thing that keeps coming back to life?
Well, specifically because he doesn't already have one.
Right. Well, I don't have two immovable rods.
Well, I mean, if we get you two immovable rods, that's both. That's for both remaining pieces.
I yes, it's one immovable rod per piece, as it were,
We could do that.
and you could have both of them rods to us within 24 hours.
He's like listening again.
Yes, we could give one to you right now, and the another. I guess you use the sun up there, right? By when the sun goes below the horizon tomorrow.
All right, I think that can we can make that work, and as a sign of good faith, because I did you wrong earlier, I think we can let you have both pieces of armor now, on the understanding that you will get us the second rod by the time the sun goes below the horizon tomorrow.
He offers out the hand to shake again. All right. And they swim over to you, an immovable rod.
Sweet. Easy to build a platform on two of the buggers.
Uh, so I think the when you give them those two remaining big pieces, I think that there is a very surreal moment when, just as he did with the other pieces, the curator swims over to them, wraps. So the thing is, the tentacles are surprisingly long when he actually uncoils them, because he kind of got them all like tucked up against him, but then when he goes to get them, they're spreading like way out, like 15 feet long.
Wow.
And then, but then as he gets them all around and he kind of is curving around, just this huge torso piece of armor, it is bigger than he is physically by 2 or 3 times, and yet somehow he just stuffs it into his backpack and it's gone.
That's handy.
Yeah.
All right. And an introduction. We get to meet the collector.
Is that still something you're interested in?
Well, that's what we agreed upon earlier, is that once we concluded everything, that
Yes.
he would come over and talk to us.
Well, I suppose that that is what we said. If that's still your desire, he will speak to you now.
Okay.
And then he kind of looks at you expectantly, as though you're going to go swim over to him, right?
Sure.
Yeah. You know, he doesn't swim to other people. He's the curator.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I get it.
So Baldu and Zinhorn just swim over, and
Yep.
and so he is really a bizarre sight because, like I said, he's sort of like basically like a squid or an octopus, but just with a weird, slightly humanoid sort of face above the beak, and this gigantic, bulky backpack, and this weird sort of posture body language where he's got these long tentacles that he's just got all curled and coiled up close to his body like that. And he watches you approach with an expression that is a little bit haughty, but also a little bit like, I hope these people aren't going to try to do something to me. So there's this definite expression of like, oh yes, come, I have deigned to grant you an audience, but also a little bit of like, oh god, I hope they don't try to touch me.
Would I be able to move the Craberatus a little bit closer so that
Yeah.
they don't have to swim as far back and
Sure.
then
Yeah.
get like within 30 feet and cast Detect Nightmare?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Here, let me just, I'm going to go ahead and give everyone the ability to control the little crab token. But yes, you can definitely do that.
Okay.
So yeah, in any case, you swim that over, and let's see. It is penetrate most barriers and 1 inch of common metal. I think that yeah, there's through the window. Like there's parts of the Craberatus body that would be thicker than that, but not all of it. So yeah, you can penetrate through there. You do not detect any from any of the creatures nearby, but who's holding the items that you got?
I'm assuming Zinhorn, or they left them inside the Craberatus.
Yeah, Zimnorm would be holding them in a
Okay.
regular bag.
Yeah. So so that bag is pinging for you.
Okay.
Oi. Ah.
So yes, the collector is looking at you with this expression of like, well, he doesn't say that. I'm just saying that's the expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very nice to meet you. One of our colleagues, who is, dry, would like to know, very much like to know, what it is you're doing or how you're going to demagicify, is the word I think he used, the armor so that it no longer reanimates.
I think that you have misunderstood my purpose.
Oh.
Why would I want to demagicify it? What I have got is a magic set of dragon armor. That's what's cool about it.
Right, but when it comes back to life and kills you, like...
Oh, well, see, that is what we have under control. It's not that we stop it from coming back to life. It's that we stop it from killing once it does.
Okay, so if I might tweak my original question, how are you gonna stop this reanimation dragon killing machine from being the killing machine part that it is?
I have friends in the contract business. Meaning it, if it wants to not be destroyed, it will be given some freedom to do as it likes so long as it doesn't harm us. And that will be enforced via a contract, binding magically.
Right, so just, I want to make sure that I'm understanding this right. So, some point in the next I don't know, month maybe. This thing's going to reanimate, and you're going to come in with some celestial lawyers who've written up a contract, hopefully in ink that survives being underwater, and force this dragon to sign it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, like the details are kind of a trade secret.
Well,
And
sure, and I'm not asking for them, and I wouldn't deign to. Um, but what's to stop the dragon killing you and your celestial lawyer friends before you can force it to sign the thing?
well, I mean, I'd say that's not your problem.
It's not. I'm just a curious fellow. I
Well,
also tend to speak a lot.
fair enough. I mean, the gist of it is that I have my ways that I don't necessarily feel like I want to just share with everybody. But the short version is that we take steps to prepare a presentation for it to show it that this contract is in its best interest and that it's taken care of. Believe it or not, this is not the first time that I have gone through this particular procedure.
I very much believe it. I have absolutely no reason to doubt you. I'm just, like I say, a curious fellow. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very curious and all humble the way you talk like that and deceive my minion over there. Get extra magic items out of me. I believe me, I'm not. This is not a judgment. I'm impressed. I'm just saying, you've tipped the veil here at this point.
He's I mean, credit to your minion, as you say. He did drive a good bargain, but his first question should have been, how many of the pieces do you have?
Oh yes, I'm sure that our post mortem on this particular encounter will be enlightening.
Postmortem might be an interesting choice of words.
Well, not your problem.
Indeed, indeed.
Before we leave, um, uh, I was wondering if I could get your name and maybe a way to contact you in the future in case we run into any more one of a kind objects like this that we are looking to make safe so that they don't harm other people. It seems to me like you could be a very useful contact for us in the future, um, so that you know we don't necessarily have to spend lots of time making something safe. We can sell it to you with the promise that you would do the same, and it seems like you've got that all under control. But like we right now, we have no way of ever getting back in touch with you.
Also, we'll need to get back in touch with you for that second immovable rod.
Yeah.
Well, I presumed that I would bring it back here where we have done this previous deal.
Seems fair.
But as far as connecting me, I don't take direct calls. You can get the contact information for my voice over there.
Okay. The voice of the Kraken.
Yeah. He
All
does
right.
like to say that, doesn't he?
It's as good a name as any.
Sometimes he's earned it.
Try not to judge him too harshly.
Well, between you and me, I don't even have to do anything. He'll be beating himself up about this all day.
Right, you are.
So, if you need to reach me, reach him.
All right.
Understood.
We will exchange contact information with the voice of the Kraken.
So, we will ensure that we live up to our end of the deal with that second immovable rod. If you like, we can just arrange to have it fixed in place right here at this shipwreck, so we don't even need to see each other again. But if you feel like you need the in-person touch, we could do that too.
I mean, we'll pop down there on time tomorrow if you guys are here. Fantastic. If you aren't here because you've got other things to do and you've left the rod here, that's also fine. If the rod's not here,
And word or whatever it is.
Well, so this you may not have realized that the handshake you were doing is acting on my behalf. He is able to enforce this as a magically binding contract in somewhat of the ways that I had previously mentioned. So in the same way that if you were trying to hold something back from me, I would have means of enforcing that. But by the same token, I am bound myself to live up to what I have agreed to.
then we shall have no problem. And as I say, if you are here, that's perfectly fine. If you have other business to attend to, I assume you're a very busy person.
Well, to be frank, I am excited to set up my new dragon armor.
Oh, quite. I imagine you are. Make sure you got that contract in place.
Mhm.
Waterproofing, don't you forget.
Actually, my theory is that this is it's going to be a species of magical fire that will burn even underwater.
Well, I wish you all the best with that, and hope that I'm not within 1,000 leagues when you put that theory to the test.
All right,
That-
well, that can be arranged, I suppose. By you. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I can go. Yeah,
All right, well, so I think we're done here.
I believe so.
I believe so.
Right then. And then he just swims away, but the voice swims up and just says,
It has been a pleasure doing business with you, for the most part. I'm told that you need contact information. Are members in your party capable of the sending spell?
It is known to one or more of us. Yes.
All right, well, I suppose then. I'm working on making Voice of the Kraken stick, but it is not publicly known well enough for it to count for the sending spell. So if you do need to reach me, you will of course think of me and the name Fregery.
One more time. That was Frederic
Fregery.
Fragery. All right. That's a pretty name.
Like half Fred and half Gregory. It's kind of nice. It flows very nicely. It's a good name.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I feel like Okay, you know what? That's it's been great. We'll leave a movable rod for you. Come on, guys, let's go. And he's like suddenly embarrassed, swimming away.
Get back aboard the Crabaratus, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I laugh. I'm like, yeah, like we couldn't just contact the collector himself. Like,
Hmm?
I've seen him. I
Yeah.
can
Do you know his
send.
name?
You don't have to know their name. You just have to know what they look like. Like you
Hmm.
could send him. Like we know him as the collector. To cast sending,
Well, you could try it.
I think it's just a creature that you've seen.
To a creature with which you are familiar, but at the same time, he did kind of specifically say he doesn't take direct calls. You don't know if there might be something going on there.
Yeah. He's probably got a contract with the universe blocking sending being sent to him.
Yeah. I bet he
seems like the
spent a
kind of
lot of
person who'd
time
do that.
in hell.
Well, at least he didn't give off any Percival Canker vibes.
No, but there is something in that bag that is not pretty good. It's got a nightmare in it.
In hindsight, it probably would have been good to know that before we negotiated for whatever this nightmare is.
Well, not necessarily, because we could probably get it out. I mean, it's just good to know that it's in there.
Okay, well that is good to know. All right, we're gonna crab crab our butts back to the shore and make sure that we can borrow the crab one more time tomorrow to go get our second rod.
Well, we don't need to. I mean, we could just like
Deep
swim
dive.
down and get it. Yeah.
65. All right, if you guys can swim, sure.
Yeah. Like we
All
can
right.
control water. I think Nedry had a plan for something. I don't know. I don't think we need the crabaratus as long as we know the location.
All right. You guys know the location?
I bust out my cartography skills.
All right.
Someone want to make a survival check?
Sure.
Survival.
Probably not me. I do have cartographer supplies as something with which I'm proficient.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well, I will
So-
let you make a check on that then. Wisdom with proficiency, even if you don't have survival otherwise.
I rolled a 12. I rolled a
Roll
5
high.
plus 7.
Yes,
rolled a
not
13.
one.
You are sure you know how to find this place again.
Positive of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wah, wah.
So in any case, though, you are able to get the crab. You find actually that at one point it's been long enough that you need to sort of surface and let it replenish the air. Before, sorry, hang on, dropping stuff. You need to surface and let it replenish the air before making it all the way back, but that is easily done.
Could we have actually asked Sunya, who was like positioned over that area,
Mhm.
to mark that area somehow so that we could go back there?
It is a good question, but how?
Like maybe like Nedry or something when he was controlling it could, I don't know. Like was
Hey.
there sort of like a mapping system on there that he could sort of
I think
like
it was
mark?
easier when you were closer to land. You're a little further out now, that makes it a little bit more difficult. But
Okay.
so at the same time, like that's
Isn't
what
there
you're,
a shipwreck?
yes, but it's you can't see it from above the water.
Do we have 70, 80 feet of rope and
Well,
something
how
that'll
far
float?
off shore are we?
Well, here's the thing: your roll indicates that you think you know.
Okay.
Well, I rolled
I
a
rolled-
13.
Well,
yeah, I
yeah,
only
but
rolled a 12.
yeah. Look, okay, the I will just go ahead and tell you that all I was going to make you do was you're going to swim down there and have to look around for it for a while, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. You're going to have to swim around and look for it. That's all. It was
Oh,
just going to be
okay.
annoying, not a real problem. So,
Okay.
All right.
I can live with that.
yeah. But that's for tomorrow anyway, though. So, what do you do once you return the crabaratus? You find that Mortimer is pacing back and forth, worried sick because you were gone so long. He immediately starts checking the system all over to make sure you didn't do something bad.
I dry off.
Mm.
I'm probably pruny from having spent all that time in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I flew my nice dry hair.
I think it got very humid in the cabin there on the way back.
It probably did. It's all poof.
Mm-hmm.
I dry my wings out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just imagining Zinhorn shaking like a dog at this point.
Oh, he shakes like Buster now.
Well, actually, because you've got that armor that's essentially like a solid gold wetsuit, or bronze, I guess. It's brass or bronze? I don't remember what metal it was. But
Bronze.
bronze. So it's really kind of like a whole wetsuit, and it's like metal, so you'd actually dry off pretty fast, I would think.
He's just like, it's memories of going swimming from childhood. It's like, gotta make sure I get all the water out of my wings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably has to, lean over and puke out all the water you've been breathing for the last while.
God.
Kind of sloshes every time he
disgusting.
walks.
No, that does. You don't need to do that until 24 hours have passed.
Yeah.
You're bubbling every time you talk. It's a little distracting.
Keep burping up mouthfuls of
No.
seawater.
Yeah, I dry off, and there's no keys to the ignition, so I just kind of
Well,
nod to our
presumably you rejoin your friends at the castle. I mean, you guys tell
yes.
me what you're doing. I'm
Yeah,
giving you room here.
Yeah.
You tell me what you're doing.
I kind of want to analyze the stuff in the bag to see if
Mhm.
we can figure out which one of them was got a nightmare in it, even though I think I already know.
So he just tells them not to. Huh. Disappointing, but I think that's possible.
It's a bit more than that. I mean, it's like some legally binding contract, but not with just like the laws of the land. I don't imagine. I reckon it's probably more like the laws of existence. You know,
Magical spell. Not entirely dissimilar to a contract, I suppose.
I mean, if you want to suck all the fun out of it, by all means.
What? Spells are amazing.
I'll have to take your word at that. I don't really know any.
I could probably
Kind of.
teach you something.
Oh, there's a terrifying thought.
I think all of a sudden Sorashana is just like swarming all over you, Zinhorn, and she's like, "What'd you bring? What'd you bring? What'd you bring?" And she's like pawing at the bag trying to get the stuff.
All right, one of those things has got a nightmare in it, so be careful.
One of these things is not like the other.
She's
Yeah.
holding the bag suspiciously.
We think it's probably the rock,
I think it's the tablet.
the tablet.
Yeah.
Well, tablet clearly made of midnight stone. That seems most likely suspect. I mean, artifacts made of midnight stone we've seen before had, curses, magic, nightmares, and the like.
Yeah.
I think she runs out of the room. Then you hear bump, 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 bump up the stairs.
And there go the magic items. So
Wait,
what spell do we want to put in the bottle?
You have to. I think you have to attune to it. So.
Well,
The
I was
spell
gonna check,
bottle,
but-
I don't think you do need to attune to it.
Oh, okay.
It can hold up to a 5th level spell.
And it's once per day that can be cast. It's once until used.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, actually, you someone roll a d6.
Kenny.
Get how? 2.
A 2. Okay.
I also rolled a 2.
All
There,
right.
it's faded.
So I think you see once you are looking at it, because Sorashana had just carried them up to like her little workshop area, not too surprising. And the spell bottle does seem to have a sort of swirling blue vapor in it. Sorashana says, I believe that indicates that it's actually got a spell in it at the moment.
Anybody feeling brave?
Well, no,
Can't we do an identify?
I was gonna say, can we do like an Arcana check or like a,
I'll give me 10 minutes. I can figure out what it is.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you would need to use identify to know what spell is in it currently.
Yeah. So ritual cast, identify.
Mhm.
Take the 10 minutes.
Okay. What's everyone doing in the meantime?
I am going to ask people to suggest spells to put in the bottle. Like
Healing spells, maybe.
I was thinking like mass healing word, or raise dead.
Well, I think it would be very situational and like something that we would prepare if we're going into a situation.
Well, you might not have time. Like sometimes we have situations hit us when we least expect it. So if there's like a healing spell in there, and
Right.
Zinhorn or I both get knocked unconscious,
Then I can do it.
what if you're unconscious and Nedry's like, "What do I do?"
then we're probably all screwed. But
Not if there's a
Right.
healing spell in the bottle.
I think it's a moot point anyway, because there might be a really cool spell in the bottle already that we want to save.
So when you finish your ritual, Nedry, it has color spray in it, which is just a first level spell.
Not terribly powerful spell inside. Slightly offensive, very colorful. Some
Uh,
comedians I've heard like that.
I think while you were doing that, Sequential was working on doing identify on the storm girdle, the belt. And he says, "This is a powerful item right here. This is so. While someone is attuned to it, wearing it, you have resistance to lightning and thunder damage. Your strength score, in the meta, is like you become 21 strong. Your strength score becomes 21, and you can use an action to become a storm avatar for 1 minute, during which you have immunity to lightning and thunder damage. When you hit with a weapon attack that would normally deal bludgeoning damage, it deals thunder damage instead. And when you hit with a weapon attack that normally deals piercing or slashing damage, it deals lightning damage instead. And as a bonus action, when you're a storm avatar, you can choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you to be struck by lightning. It's a dex save throw or 3d6 lightning damage. And you can do that once per day. But, Sequential says, there's also indications here that it could become even more powerful if someone were to be using it and find themselves... It's a little unclear what might make it do that, but I sense that there's latent abilities in it.
I
gotta
will
say-
be completely honest that I really miss being miss my storm cleric.
Nothing like wanting to be able to cast lightning bolt or call lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best. I do have lightning bolt though.
And so
I
one
mean, I'll say I want it, but like I'm not gonna fight somebody over it.
I kind of like it too, but really I like it for Nedry. If
What?
if we want to throw somebody into the bag, Nedry being strong is kind of a requirement. So
That-
being able to put Tanglefoot back in the bag.
Because you have to make a grapple check, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, there are other ways, but more complicated ones. Combinations of spells that I could cast and circumstances I could provoke, and then the typical combination of other people doing different things. I'm sure
Is
it would
the-
probably work most of
Does
the
the
time.
girdle require attunement?
it does.
Yes.
The other thing I would say is that one of its main things is becoming the storm avatar, which is pretty focused on if you're doing weapon or attacks, right?
Mhm.
Which, I mean, up to you guys, but certainly that Nedry probably wouldn't have much use for that aspect of it.
I was just gonna say, is Nedry, is the backpack that we have, the prison backpack, is that require attunement?
Isolde's bag, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That and protective verses.
And taps the book on his hip.
Okay.
Why? Are you thinking something else?
Well, no, I was just thinking, like, if somebody else were to use that and to need that strength, like if, say, Lynn were to attune to the girdle and try to help you get him in the bag, I mean, it could be like a double play, that's all. Like, we tried that before. Like, a while ago, I can't remember when, but we did try, like, two of us trying to get somebody into the bag together.
You have one person hold them still.
Yeah.
That's why I was also thinking of magical ways of holding people or ways of making someone asleep, those sorts of things. But, I mean, if someone holds them, that also can work. It's not infallible. It only works about half the time, but
So Sorashana has been studying the tablet, and she says there's definitely presence here of nightmare energy and Denutherian magic, and there's aspects of this that might be challenging to control, but not necessarily impossible. It's not quite the same as the circlet was. But here's the thing: is that I think if you were to try to cleanse the nightmare energy from it, it's probably quite a lot of it, and also I think once you did that, it would not work anymore. The nightmare energy is what makes it work.
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Most of the things, well, all of the things we've seen so far, take the sort of cleansed or condensed version of the nightmare energy. But if this uses it directly, this is more likely an actual Denetherian artifact,
Hmm.
like from the original uses. Interesting.
So Baldu, Sorashana had previously fled the room anytime you were present. Today, she seems to just be ignoring you like you're not there.
Well, I am good at blending into the shadows and making myself disappear. So
So, and the tablet does that also requires attunement,
Mm-hmm.
but it casts eye bite and gate, and it only does one. Like if you
one
cast
or
eye
the
bite,
other
you can't.
once
Right?
per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really powerful spell.
Yeah.
I was reading about different things like that. That's way above my level.
So one of the notes to the version you have compared to the item that's currently in D&D Beyond is it says the portal only links to the far realm. There is that's not the case with yours, but it has a limited subset that includes the Feywild, but and a few others, but is not just like any plane you want.
So you can't just pick where you want to go.
You can within the set that
Okay.
I will put in there. So I don't have the full list handy.
Okay.
It would be one way to move where we need to.
It would get us
Or,
to the Feywild, like
well,
with intention.
I have to research the specifics of the spell, but I think we can bring things here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what if we brought Lady Despair here?
Granted, I'm pretty sure it doesn't offer you any sort of control, so
Right.
she might just kill everybody in sight.
Maybe.
right, but all right.
Like
So
if
we're
we
back
had
to
somebody there already in the Feywild and we brought her here, then that person could maybe steal the diamond and get out of there before she goes back.
You might have, well, it
I
is
feel
a
like there's a
powerful
lot of
spell.
room for error there.
There's a lot of room for error no matter what we do.
Mm,
You know, I mean, we're up against a rock and a hard place, like no matter what. It's
or if
just
you
a
will,
thought.
between two immovable rods.
Yeah.
I'd like to seek someone who might know more about this tablet. Tillitha might know more.
Maybe.
I've heard this name mentioned, this Tillitha. Anybody care to give me a quick 30-second rundown?
30 seconds would be difficult.
I will get out
good, bad,
the
alloy, enemy.
storybook. I'll get out the
Oh yeah,
storybook,
the children's story
the
version.
children's storybook, and
There you
I'll
go.
sit down with Baldu and read it.
Nice.
And does it still do the cool magical stuff?
I think that
Is the trap still active?
Yeah.
Let's see if it figures it out.
Well, no, I mean it's just like that cool episode of Buffy where they were.
So I think it does. Yeah, I mean, I think it does exactly the same thing as before. You know the answer of how to get out again this time.
Yeah.
So basically, imagine a pop up book that fills the room with illusions. But the very short version of the story is that Dinuther, this ancient place that you discussed, you learn how they developed a certain kind of magic based on the left behind weapon of a Titan. Uh, However, that magic had a way that it could be misused, and the people there started to misuse it in that way, becoming very powerful but very dangerous. And eventually, Talitha and her friends decided to use that same Titan's weapon to essentially seal away all of Dinuther so that it could not destroy the rest of the world. And then they were left outside. And so she was kind of the leader of that group. And so other names you've heard like Rupano and Trandonel and that's basically Talitha and her crew.
Gotcha.
So Talitha is the one that is left behind at the temple. So they had just finished talking to her when they were coming out to
Yes.
meet up with you. She's the last one, basically trying to hold the door closed to keep Dinuther
Hold on.
away. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Look, there's a puppy on the camera. All of you listening in audio only, you're missing out. I'm sorry. But so in any case, yeah. So you have those new items. You've got also one immovable rod with the promise of the second one tomorrow.
It might help to study the tablet more.
Yeah.
Someone want to attune to it?
Well,
Nedry?
only if Zinhorn or the others are standing by. I'm a little nervous about these things now. I don't know what kind of
up a
effect
guard
it's going to
position.
have.
Yeah. So what Surashana says about it is that it'll have an influence that will need some willpower to overcome. But if you do, then you should be okay.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe I should prepare for this.
And his eyes will glow white as he calls upon the power of God. Why can I never remember her name? The goddess there that gave us the boons,
Oh, Solomonia.
Solomonia, and casts Intellect Fortress, which gives him resistance to psychic damage as well as advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws.
Okay.
There. I think that's going to help. We'll see.
And then try to attune to it. See what happens.
Okay. Well, I mean, it'll take an hour, obviously, but
Yep.
go ahead.
It's a nervous hour, but yeah.
Sure. So, I think while that's happening, Yubert will say, so, what steps are we thinking next? Should we stay here in Emisham for a while? Obviously, till tomorrow, till we can recover the second immovable rod. And then I think Ivy says, I'm still waiting to hear back from my inquiry about the amulet.
If we can make an immovable platform from 2 immovable rods.
Well, I mean, I think an immovable rod supports like 1,000 pounds, I think.
I mean, you put 2 in place, you lash some planks to it. Seems like a platform that wouldn't move.
Oh, in fact, it's actually 8,000 pounds of weight.
So it would be 16,000 total.
Yeah.
We could do like a concrete slab on top of those 2 immovable rods, or like
Yeah.
a stone.
Yep.
And if for some reason that don't work, would then have 2 immovable rods, which could come in handy anyway.
One small amendment, since Nedry knows that Intellect Fortress only lasts an hour,
Mm-hmm.
would do that at the end of the
Oh,
attunement
yeah.
rather than the beginning.
Sure.
So it's not like, hey, I finally, that just wore off.
Yeah. That would be funny, but yeah. No,
He knows his
that's-
spells better
yeah.
than I do.
No,
so.
I understood. right. Yeah. So that would take an hour. So, but you could be having the conversation in the meantime, right? Because it's essentially like a short rest. So, like, you could be having a conversation while it's happening. You're just kind of holding it and focusing on it. So, you don't have
Yeah,
to.
attunement doesn't require concentration.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So it's not like with identify ritual or something where you really can't be doing anything else.
yeah.
Well, building a platform shouldn't be too difficult. The other one, though, could be anywhere. I'm still not entirely certain how stable this door would be. And we don't know what we'll find on the other side. We are going in, right? I mean, we can't just open the door up and let anything out because we know some of the things that are there.
We did it somewhere maybe inconspicuous where we could disguise it, camouflage it in some way.
I thought we had to do it underwater,
On the water.
on the water.
Essentially, the seal around it is effectively a sphere, but it's a little bit like phased out of reality. So it's, like it's like sphere shaped if it's there, but it's not there unless it's magically there. If you follow me, right? So you could sail right through where it is without seeing anything, and it would seem like you're just going through water. Is the point?
Do we know much about the particulars? I think it was all from Lynn's dream, right?
Right. Yeah, you don't necessarily know much more. What you were told is those pieces is what you needed, and that you don't necessarily have all the details. Although Nedry, you had surmised some pieces of how it might start to work just based on what the diamond does, but you also are not entirely clear what the amulet does or how that would factor in, because reducing decay is like it, how does that factor in exactly, but you're also not quite sure what that means. So
And we don't know if there's a ritual or if it's a device or if it's permanent or reusable.
right, that's what they were working on, and those were the pieces, so that's the information you have.
Would Tillitha know more about it? I mean, it was used in the original ritual, right?
That's my hope.
I mean, the it was not, though, used in the original ritual.
No, this
right?
is
They wished on the pillar to do it when they were sealing it away. This was Isilda coming up with her own method with.
Oh,
Ellison.
because I thought she said that artifact had been at the temple and it was present.
Oh, the amulet, yes.
Yeah.
The amulet was, and so the amulet was at the temple. Tillitha might know about that.
But
I'm saying she wouldn't know about a means of opening a tunnel through the shield, because that wasn't ever her idea.
Yeah, just specifically about the amulet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we still have to find that pendant, so it's not going to happen right away. And there's still the question of the adversary. Bothers me.
Yeah.
At the very least, his existence, which, while it seemed painful in the dreams, it didn't seem like it was hurting him as such, which means that he's still around. And with all of the connections he's made with these things and with Dinethir, I'd be worried that he's essentially holding it in place. More of an anchor now. I still want to know what started all of this, why he started collecting these things, why he thought it was a good idea.
When we first met him, wasn't he talking about having seen things? Aren't we still missing an Ustak? I don't know if it just now occurred to me.
Might be related. Maybe it was something he was told to do or made to do.
Well, I mean, just like how not Rupino, the other one, Trandano, was so corrupted, maybe the same thing happened to Ustak.
we could start looking for them, I suppose. Until we find another way to go after the star pendant. Or try to go after this diamond.
Would we know how to relocate this Percival Cankers?
Well, we found him in a dream.
Uh,
I-
um, excuse me for speaking out of turn, but um, that there tablet, right? Didn't and I will happily default my knowledge of spells to, every single other person in this room who has far more knowledge of them, I'm sure. But I think I remember hearing somewhere that can't you didn't we say earlier you can use gate to pull people through to where you are? Or did
Yeah,
I
well,
imagine that?
But this one has a specific range, like
And
a
we're-
limited
Well,
set of
it's a
places.
limited set of places, but yeah,
and we're
I
not sure which one he might be on.
yeah. So, I mean, I think what the trick here is I'm not giving you a full list because I didn't come up with a list yet. Um, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and no, that I'm not going to just casually decide that it accesses all planes instead. That's crazy powerful. So, what I will say though is that one of the notable planes that's on there is like it took you a little bit to sort of process what the like arcane information was telling you as you're attuning to it, but it does look like the plane of dream is among its um, realm, like it's a domain, so to speak, which is not
Well,
even a plane that you're really familiar with. It's not on any of the planar geography sort of atlases you've seen.
we might be able to try to pull him through. Although, with him being connected to everything, I'm not sure he would be able to come through without those connections being broken. But we might be able to go to him. I might be able to talk to him.
Okay.
So, I think we need to end tonight's session a little bit earlier tonight, just because I think we have a player with a commitment. So, I think I want to do one last little beat here before we close, though, which is to say, when you complete your attunement, Nedry, you do feel access and connection to it and the ability to sort of use its power, and you don't really perceive any sort of struggle in terms of it trying to control you or influence you or anything. You don't really get any sense of that. But then that night you take a long rest, presumably, and once you wake up from the long rest, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, because that's how this one
Naturally.
works.
Is it magical?
I mean, yes, it is.
Okay. Because he has a natural resistance.
Yeah.
Actually, technically, I just realized intellectual fortress doesn't actually do him any benefits because he has advantage on all those things
Yeah.
anyway. Oh well. Wisdom 22.
Okay. Yeah. I think that you find that as you wake up, there's a vague sense that you were maybe having some unsettling dreams, but they weren't able to quite like penetrate. You really don't remember anything about them. You just sort of have a vague sense of, wait, what was I dreaming? Feels like, I don't know, it was something, but you don't feel like stressed or bothered by it at all. And so, congratulations, you are unaffected by that quality of the tablet.
For one day.
No, it's actually the nature of this one is it's just the first time.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not every day. A creature that attunes to the tablet makes a saving throw at the end of its next long rest.
Well, so far so good. I don't think I feel like doing anything weird or evil or unusual.
Keeping my eye on you.
Good. It's probably best.
Same here.
I know. Makes me feel better.
All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and call our session to a close for tonight then. How is everybody looking for next week? Anyone know
I'm-
that they won't be here?
I
Right
should be
now, no, I should
here.
be.
Okay, well, so that's the
Yep.
plan then, is that we will return next week for more adventure on so many levels.
So many
So
levels.
many
Many
levels.
levels.